briefly introduce our first speaker this evening. It's Johan van Rooyen, and he's going to be talking to us about coordinating the U3A Stilbaai Bird Group to atlas Hessequa systematically. Johan is an avid citizen scientist based down in Stilbaai on the South Cape coast. The Cape South Coast rather, and he spoke to us recently together with his wife about virtual museum photography and submissions. This time Johan will be talking to us about atlasing, and he's been at the helm of a very important and well put together, well-coordinated atlasing effort in an important part of the country down in the Southern Cape. So I think that without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Johan, and please make sure that all of you mute your mics so that there's no background interference from that. Johan, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes. All looks good.
Thank you very much. I'll try to be as quick as possible within the time that we have. And so this is about atlasing in the Hessequa area. And Stilbaai is in this, as Rick said, in the Southern Cape. Cape Town is there, Stilbaai, Mossel Bay for those of you know. We're in the Hessequa Municipality in the Western Cape province of South Africa. Beautiful town at the estuary of the Khoikhoi River, as you can see. Just a short history, we retired to Stilbaai in October 2013. And we're very fortunate to find the Stilbaai Bird Club desperate for something to do. So we presented Sub-Op 2 at a small club meeting in September 2014. And this generated some interest, but for many the protocol sounded complicated. So we invited them to a practical atlas session. And on Saturday, 8 November, we were 6 observers, and it could be one person or a husband and wife team. And we divided one of our home pentads into 6 areas and supplied each team with a paper map. And we sent them out for just 2 hours and to record the species according to the using the atlas protocol. At that stage, the pentad had 54 full protocol cards, and the highest recorded was 101 species, and the second highest 90 species. So after 2 hours, they were all back with a list between 30 and 40 species. We combined all the lists into one full protocol card, and we had 101 species, and they were hooked. So that's where it all started. So we submitted that card as a full protocol card for the Stilbaai Field Club. Now, setting objectives for the group was a little bit more tricky, because if we set the area too small, the people may lose interest. If it's too large, the travel and time and cost may become prohibitive. So we set it for our municipal area of Hessequa. And excluding the pentads where access were difficult, we came to 75 pentads, with the furthest about 90 kilometers from Stilbaai. So the area we cover is where Stilbaai is there. It's from the Gourits River mouth to the Breede River mouth, and from the ocean right up to the Langeberg mountain in the north. There's a lot of intensive agriculture going on, with canola being grown and wheat and barley, some main agricultural crops. There's also sheep farming and some dairy farming. Now, the challenges that we had was, you must remember, this was in 2014. Those were the days before BirdList. So it was not difficult to keep record of species in sequence, as well as the hour markers on paper. But navigation problems was real, as very few people had access to GPS. So we produced paper maps for all of the 75 pentads, indicating the location of the pentads in kilometers from easily identified landmarks, like crossroads or so, and also indicated smaller roads and features like dams and pans. And these maps we've actually updated over the years, and they're still a very valuable resource for the atlaser in Stilbaai. Our objectives evolved over time with increase in numbers of observers and the confirmation that we could actually sustain our efforts. But we always aligned it with the 2 objectives of Sub-Op 2. The first one was mapping, to improve the foundational coverage to minimum of 4 protocol cards per pentat, but preferably 7 or 11. And in terms of monitoring, we try to ensure that at least each pentat received 1 full protocol card every year. I must mention the visiting atlasers. Some areas in Hessequa are very popular holiday destinations, so we had visitors coming to these areas and doing atlasing. But as our objectives got more complicated over time, the direct contribution to our objectives actually declined. However, as Les always said, more cards are always better. So what were the mapping progress that we've made? This is the map of Hessequa, as you can remember, more or less that area with the 75 pentats. In September 2014, when we started, this is how it looked. About a third of the pentats had 4 cards or more, and 15 of them have only had 1 card. And a year after that, we were at this point where only 3 of them still lacked 1 or 2 cards to get to the foundational mapping. And by December 2017, we had all actually up to more than 7 cards. Just notice the center area. At the beginning, we were a little bit worried that we would not be able to sustain the whole, or to do atlasing for the whole area. So we concentrated on this middle area a little bit more, and that kept on going forward. And then 2 years later, we had the whole area covered by 13 cards or more. That was, as far as the mapping objective for sub-op, it was actually well covered. Now, the monitoring, and that is now how many you do in a year. For 2015 and 2016, we aim to have at least 1 protocol card per pentat, and 2017, 2 cards per pentat. So in 2015, you can see we had all covered with at least 1 card, and some a lot more. And then 2016 as well, except for that one, and that was a card submitted by a visitor that in 2017, sub-op actually did the quality control that decided that's an ad hoc card. And so we lost that card. And since then, we've done our own checks to make sure that we don't get into that problem again. And in 2017, we had more than 2 cards, or 2 cards and more for every pentat. So we were looking for new targets for monitoring, and we understood our capacity better, and we were thinking of improving our efforts. But in the meantime, the bird club evolved. We were eventually focused on atlasing, but the U3A was established in Stilbaai in 2015, and towards the end of 2016, the bird club actually joined the U3A as a group. So we are now known as the U3A Stilbaai Bird Group, and we still support sub-op through our structured atlasing. We organize bird identification courses for beginners and advanced courses. We organize other presentations and talks and some outings. And the atlasers actually grew from 6 to 16 observers due to in-migration of birders, as well as the birding courses we present. And some of our atlasers actually live in Mosselbaai and Fort. So how could we further improve the monitoring? We had discussion with Les, and he suggested that we spread the 2 cards per year over different seasons, with the seasons then defined as summer, December, January, and February, and that follows then for the other seasons. And we've actually taken up the challenge as follows. In a pattern of 2-year cycle, and I'll explain it on the map, the 2 home pentats we will atlas every month, but then in year 1, the yellow pentats we will atlas in summer and winter, and the white ones in autumn and spring. And in the second year, we switch it around, so that after 2 years, you have cards for every season for every pentat. So the question then, how do we allocate it between atlasers? Half of the pentats is then being atlased in every season. And if you divide it into the 3 months, we get to about 15 cards per month. But in the months, we prioritize the pentats with the lowest number of full protocol cards to improve the monthly distribution of the cards. And we distribute the list of available pentats by email to the atlasers at the start of each month. And they decide themselves what they want to do, which pentats they want to atlas, how many they want to do. So we get from 3 or 4 pentats a month to 1 pentat in 3 months. It doesn't matter. Each atlas decided themselves. And I update this list every week to ensure that everybody is on the same page and that the bonus cards from visitors are also counted. So the results of the first 2-year cycle, we had, and in this graph, this diagram, we show each pentat with 4 seasons. So that is summer, autumn, winter, and spring. For that pentat, we had more cards than the 1 per season that is shown in that one. But you can see that all over, we've at least 1 card per season per pentat, and in the popular areas where we had a lot of visitors, there were more. So all the pentats with the other colors was normally done by visiting atlas. If you then look at the total cards per pentat for the 2 years, you can see that we had foundational coverage of 4 cards per pentat for the whole area. And you can actually then compare this period of 2 years with other periods of 2 years where you have the same number of cards, or at least 4 or more. So the monthly coverage, in the 2 years, we've improved the pentats with all months covered from 11 to 31. And if you look at pentat months with no full protocol cards, it decreased from 223 to 60. So we're improving on the monthly coverage as well. A very important thing for us is the contact with the farmers and other landowners. Actually very accommodating, wonderful, friendly people that we have. And initially it was contact on an ad hoc basis, but at the end of 2018, it was decided to formalize the system. So we put them now on a list that we call Friends of U3A Stilbaai Bird Group. We supply them, each of them, with a map of the pentat for the property, our annual newsletter, and a bird list of the pentat is also updated annually and supplied to them. And we've got 146 landowners on our list at the moment, and it is still growing. If you look at a gate like this, when you go through a pentat and you see a little sign like that, you wonder what it is, and then you come there and it says, "Cattle, please keep the gate closed and say hello to the fellow folks at home." And then you feel quite comfortable by entering through that gate. Each atlas actually has access on Dropbox to maps of the pentat, and that may be location overview and detail maps showing public and private roads and the location of landowners, a list of the landowners with their contact information, as well as a bird list for the pentat. The atlaser would then inform all the landowners by WhatsApp beforehand of a planned atlas and the detail and the registration number of the vehicle. And they would carry magnetic plates of the project on the car, the suburb letter of introduction, and the suburb ID card. And when they come back and they've met new landowners, they will report back to us so that we can add it. So in conclusion, the Stilbaai Bird Group in Hessequa has developed a sustainable atlas protocol with a dedicated group of atlasers, setting a new standard for the monitoring phase of SAWAP. And we've improved relationships with the landowners, and that led to a broad support base in the farming community. I want to acknowledge all the atlasers from the Bird Group who supported this initiative with enthusiasm over many years. All the visitors who contributed cards, Prof. Les Andriel for support over many years, the SAWAP 2 team with their support on ORFs and other problems with cards, and all the landowners for their friendly support and access. There's a few references. The last one is an article that written by me and Les about what we've achieved in the last 2 years. But before I end, I just want to say that if SAWAP approached me 7 years ago when I retired and said, "We want to offer you a very fulfilling job, contributing to science, and you can pick your own team, but we are very sorry we cannot pay you or your team a salary, nor refund any of your traveling costs. But we can promise you that you will find wonderful people to work with you, and you will meet a lot of other fantastic people. And you will experience days like this, and you will drive on roads like this, and this, in one of the most beautiful parts in the country. And you will not only see 250 of the 330 species already recorded in the area, but you will also see many other beautiful things in the area, like the sunrise here. My only condition to Sabok would be, you just keep this project running indefinitely and don't go bankrupt, please. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Wonderful, Johan. Thank you. Les, I don't know whether you'd like to comment briefly on that.
I think what Johan and his team have achieved is little short of mind-shattering. So there's nowhere else within the SABAP2 system where we've actually got it right to do atlasing on that level of systematicness, if there's such a word. It's fantastic. Well done, Johan. We really would like your system to be an example for other people to follow. And the most amazing thing is that the way you've done it, the psychology of how you've done it, it puts no pressure on individual people to feel they must do something this month. It's all, even though it's systematic, it's always a huge element of voluntariness about it. Well done, Johan. Thank you.
Thank you much, very much, Les.
Yeah, excellent, Johan. I think as is so often the case with citizen science projects all over, identifying champions is a critical part of ensuring the success of these projects. And you are that champion in your area. And we really need more Johan van Rooyens around where we are doing this atlas. And I think for those of us watching from different parts of the continent and elsewhere, this is the case. We need to identify champions if at all possible and encourage people, but so organized, Johan. I think that's wonderful, and I think that those of us who are actively involved in SABAP2 should do our level best to let other people know that they can have a look at your presentation that you've just given. I think it's a fantastic resource. And hopefully other people can, even if they come anywhere close to what it is that you've managed to do, I think that'll be fantastic. So keep up the good work and keep enjoying your citizen science. You clearly do, and I think it's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful sense of purpose that people have, people such as you have. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
Folks, if there are questions, please do